Welcome to the show. My name is Dean. Everybody knows that if you're here. And I need no introduction, and neither does my guest today. This is really exciting for me because I'm a big fan. I was introduced to my guest today, Tara Palmieri, through a mutual friend of ours, Steve Schmidt, who just can't stop singing your praises. And that's high
Aw.
praise from a guy like Schmidt, is it not?
Yeah, it is, and it's so great to meet you in person too. He speaks so highly of you, so it feels like a good endorsement, great stamp of approval. And I'm sure so many of you also follow the warning, and that's how you found us as well, since he is like the king of Substack. I think he's probably got one of the most followers on Substack beside Barry
Yeah.
Weiss.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. He's relentless too. There's days where I feel like I don't know about you with the Substack thing, it's a bit of a bug, right? And you feel like you've got a job to do and you got a social responsibility, moral responsibility to sort of, act like a Sherpa when it comes to information and affirmation. But I like to take Saturdays and Sundays off. Steve never does. He's ubiquitous, kind of like you, by the way. You do such a great job. The Red Letter, which is on Substack. Everybody, please, TaraPalmieri.com. That's her Red Letter. She's on Substack. Go and subscribe to her. Your work has been incredible, by the way. And I
Thank
want to talk about a
you.
couple of things that you're really good at. You're deep into the Epstein stuff. We'll get to that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we'll get to that. Uh, yeah, I read your stuff this morning and put it back out. I had no idea you ran into her at an inauguration ball. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But I know and she's mad. Marge is big mad. We'll cover why Marge is big mad, and your insights are truly, absolutely awesome from this last piece. But I want to talk real quick because I don't know where you're located. Hi from Canada. Nice to see you, Christiane. Hi from Canada, everybody. Hi, we got Canada American in the house. I'm in Toronto. Where are you right now?
I'm in Brooklyn,
Okay.
which probably will soon to be occupied.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Are you going to be doing any No King stuff this weekend or?
I did the No Kings in a few months ago. I covered it.
Yeah.
I still come at it as like a straight news journalist. So I walked through and I was I started, I guess, on Fifth Avenue. We went all the way down to Madison Square Park. It was amazing. And it was really, really, really interesting just to see all the people out there and the enthusiasm. It was raining.
Mhm.
So just to see the number of people out there in the rain. I mean, I always assume when there's a washout, people aren't going to show up, but no, people were mad as hell. It was the first No Kings March. So I assume that there'll be even more, or who knows. But it was also, I think, coinciding with the military parade at the same time, counter programming Trump's
Mm.
military parade, which was also rainy, but
Yeah, it was.
sparsely
If you remember,
attended.
but they're doing the same thing in LA, which is why I wanted to ask where you were, knowing that you're not in LA. I just assumed you were because I just assumed that's the heartbeat of, democratic journalism or at least fact-based journalism. But you being in New York, a little bit different. You were going to get the same military parade the same day tomorrow in California. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah.
Midas started reporting on it. They're conducting military exercises at Camp Pendleton, as I
Mm,
understand. They've expanded those military exercises, so they're going to close down I-5. Anybody's familiar with LA, it's a major artery. It's also earmarked to be one of the routes for the No Kings protests. And to your point, yeah, I think there were 2,000 protests across the country. This is very global. We've got our own coming up here in Toronto. And I'll be attending that this weekend. We'll be covering that this weekend. But I got to wonder, 2,500 people or 2,500 different locations for this version of the No Kings protest. I got to wonder if this is going to be a different vibe because of the rhetoric that we're seeing coming out of the White House, knowing what they're doing in Chicago, what they're doing in
mm,
LA, and across the United States. If they're willing to throw a monkey wrench into a peaceful protest, attack peaceful protesters,
mm.
this No Kings protest on the 18th is a bonanza for Donald
I
Trump and his
know,
new
and
ice goons.
the last Snow Kings that I covered, I've got to think it was in the springtime because it was kind of cold and I was wearing a coat. I'm just blanking on the time frame. Everything just moves so quickly. And if I remember correctly, he hadn't started his ice raids yet. They hadn't sent out the military to clean up these dangerous cities. So the temperature on the streets wasn't quite as high.
Mhm.
And I think now it'll be a different atmosphere because of this military presence, because of the ice raids, because of what people have seen in their communities. I think there's going to be a stronger reaction. And I'm concerned. I'm worried, frankly. But I also think it's interesting that they're cutting off the arteries of the city. Like you said, I mean, if you want to mess with people, If you want to piss them off, traffic. It will destroy you politically as well. I mean, just ask Chris Christie. Guy could
Yeah,
never
yeah,
run for president after Bridgegate.
yeah.
People will never forgive you for traffic. But Trump doesn't want to be forgiven by California because he doesn't care. He thinks they're not his people. He doesn't believe that this is the United States. There are his states, and then there are the rest of the states. And the rest of the states, he will punish them and try to bend them to his will. But that's just not how it works.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And going back to your point, and my dad used to say it all the time: it's easier to catch flies with honey than poop. And every protest is a pain in my ass because if it prevents me from getting home to my family, prevents me from getting to where I need to go or earning a living so that my family can eat and we can have a roof over our head. I've never been a fan of these protests, but this is a different time, right? We live in a
Yeah.
time now where it's democracy or bust. Right. And so watching the courage that's coming out of the people in the United States, and far be it for me, I know there's a little tension between Canada and the United States. Far be it for me not to mention as well the fact that Canada is deeply, deeply involved in supporting the United States of America, having our own rally up here, No Tyrants. You can go to deanblundell.substack.com and check out the details. But this is a global thing this year, right?
Yeah.
Geneva, Paris, London, England.
Right.
So, do you feel like this might be a little different because of the rhetoric that we're seeing and because of some of the violence that we're seeing, with these ICE raids, the loss of free speech, the attempt to turn blue cities, blue states into war zones? Because I feel like, it's the rest of the world has America's back, but America's got to have its back this weekend too.
It just feels like it's a recipe for violence. It feels like it's a tinderbox, especially when you know that some people are coming to the fight with weapons.
Yeah.
And so and people are so angry, and it's just like everyone needs to put down the sword. This is a scary situation that we're in right now.
Mm.
Um, and at the same time, I feel like people should have the right to express themselves and to protest, and we want it to be peaceful. But the show of force on the other side, suggests that this might escalate, and I can only imagine. Listen, I like I said, where I live, it hasn't been occupied yet, but that's not to say that that's going to happen to my neighborhood one day, and then I'll really fully understand the extent of this, and what it's like to have people, your neighbors, suddenly be arrested and asked to just hand over their documentation at all time. Like, I don't walk around with my ID. Sometimes I go into bars and restaurants and they don't ask me for ID. I haven't been asked for ID in a long time. It's like, suddenly you have to walk around and show proof of citizenship everywhere you go. I
Mm.
mean, that's a terrifying experience to have. And I just, I fear for what it does to the psyche of our country. It really, I I'm at
A
a
loss
loss
for
for words.
words.
Yeah, I think that it's a loss for words because I haven't experienced it personally, and I don't want to say the wrong thing about what it's like, but just hearing about these children being, you know, shaken from their beds and drawn out in the middle of the night and in ice raids in
At
Chicago. It's just
gunpoint.
gunpoint. I mean, they'll never forget that for the rest of their lives. Like, they're gonna have to go to deep therapy, and when they talk about the trauma that they experienced in their lives, that is going to be one of the moments that they are gonna talk about for a long time. Some of them are going to have a hard time bonding with people for a very long time because of that. They're gonna be shaken, they're gonna have anxiety, they're gonna look over their shoulder in a way that they shouldn't have to.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, and we forget about that part of it. LA just declared a state of emergency the other day so they could access funding to give counseling to people whose families have been through this, by the way. That's one of those lost conversations we're not having is the trauma. And if anybody understands addiction, understands anxiety, understands PTSD, what it can do to you in your later years as
Mm,
a victim of those things, I can truthfully tell you I've never been held at gunpoint at the age of 6 and had that scar me for the rest of my
yeah.
life. I've never watched my family family get arrested in front of me as we were playing Parcheesi or Yahtzee after some pasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just talking about the damage that they're doing to these children, but the fact that you're afraid, people are afraid to go out, questioning whether or not I should bring my ID. I mean, this is a new time. I was watching yesterday too, and I'd love your thoughts, being the venerable reporter and journalist that you are. Um, did you see the White House press, or sorry, the Pentagon press corps get walked out of the Pentagon yesterday? Did you see that?
Yeah, it was an amazing moment, and honestly, I commend them. And you know what I hope they do with that free time when they are not having to deal with, his BS pressers, in which probably all garbage, because everybody knows that the way it works in the Pentagon is that, press secretary, they give out their side of the story, the spin, their background, but if you talk to anyone on the ground, it's usually a very different story. And you know what? They're just not gonna call the press secretaries anymore. They're not gonna bother with them. They're gonna use their sources inside of that building, on the ground. You're gonna see a lot more leaks. And what I am seeing right now in Pete Hegseth, a very paranoid man, because you only do this if you are very paranoid and you don't think that you have the you don't have the ranks in line. You would
Mhm.
only do that for this reason. Um, People that complain about leaks cannot control their they're feeling threatened.
He's a
They're
shitty
feeling
boss.
paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but for me personally, like I've always believed investigative journalism is the most important journalism. I think having access to a building is bullshit in so many ways, because when you try to get that access, you have to give up things. It's a trade. It's a contract in a weird way, an implicit contract. To have access, there's a line to get that access.
Like an agency line, you mean? Like you now report for the agency. Your
You
agency is
don't
gone.
report for the agency, but there's like a certain level of decorum. You have to deal with them in a way. And, if those journalists now do not have to sit through a presser, a briefing, a this or that, and they are able to hit the phones and call their sources and go maybe on trips to be on the ground to see what's actually going on. Bravo. I hope that they break tons of stories. I hope they tear apart the Pentagon. I hope they uncover things that we never even knew existed because they had that time. Turn these DoD reporters, many of whom already do investigations, into investigative defense reporters. And
Mm.
and and then they'll really be struggling.
Yeah. If you thought Pete
Really.
Hegseth was angry about leaks before, look what he just did. OAN's the only entity that decided to sign that loyalty pledge. And I'm not even too sure what was in it. I don't know if you've heard from anybody in the White House press corps, if you've kind of understood what was in this NDA or loyalty oath. But my understanding was that it criminalized reporting that wasn't sanctioned or signed off on by Pete Hegseth and the Department of War. Is that correct?
I believe that's right. I think that's a violation of the First Amendment. And I think that that would very quickly be shot down in the Supreme Court. But again, they are pushing the boundaries of our Constitution, of democracy. And yeah, listen, bring it. Uh, I This is exactly how the relationship with the press should be. It should be an antagonistic relationship with everyone in power.
Mhm.
The point of being a journalist is to hold truth to power. It is to be an antagonizer. It is to be a nudge. It is to never carry water. Of even the side that you support, you should be a pain in the ass to them too. Because any any group that gets power, they are always corrupted by it, absolutely. And so this is a moment for the press corps to throw up their spine the way they have, and to say, sure, okay, you don't want us here. We will go underneath and come right up we will dig under this building and rise up and blow it up. All
Mm.
the truth will come out of it. That is what I hope will happen. I hope they pursue all those leads, all those tips that they had. They didn't have time to pursue because they were too busy dealing with the DoD press team.
Mm. Mm.
So, yeah. we'll see
Almost
what
like they've been
happens
set
though.
free. Almost like they've been set free, right? I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
giving, but yeah, that's such a fucking positive way to. Sorry, I'm swearing. I don't know if you're allowed to swear on the Red Letter or the Tara
It's
Palmieri
okay.
show, but yeah.
Let
Okay,
it loose.
all right, all right, all right. Great
It's
friends
awesome.
already.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they set them free, and that's kind of how I read it. Tara, it was in listening to people, like I listened to John Carl talk about it. Talked to Steve about it, and he's like, dude, if they think this is a bad thing, they thought they could get away with it. They thought they could get away with plugging leaks. They thought they could get away with mandating certain pieces of information and creating a military sim out of the fucking Pentagon. These people walked out of there, if you watch the video of this yesterday, with
Yeah.
boxes laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, cool. You know what? My numbers could be burning up. The best part of when I was a White House correspondent under Trump's first term and Trump complained about leaks and plugging leaks and plugging leaks, the more that he complained about plugging leaks, the more phone calls you got, the more leaks there were. It was, you can't plug the leaks. It's just not a fact. It just doesn't happen. And any good reporter, I mean, they will find a way. I never found it to be that useful to even be in the White House, to be on the grounds of the White House, because you can't
No,
make a lot of calls,
yeah,
you know? Like you can't be outside the whole time. You want privacy. You want to talk to the sources that don't want to be seen with you. Those
hmm
are the best sources. The
mm,
ones that just would like to say, I've never met her before. Who's she? Those are the good sources. And so that you don't want to be the one who's in the press office all day long, just taking note. Oh, because
yeah,
you're a stenographer.
yeah.
So I I'm excited to see what kind of journalism we see come out of this. And I hope all of their employers, which is the most important thing, support them and that they
Yeah.
don't just think about their shareholders and that they actually think about democracy and what's most important and that they support them. Because that's the scary part. I mean, we're very lucky to be independent journalists, to be on our own platforms. But a lot of times the shareholders, they get skittish, they get nervous in these major media companies and they don't support their employees. And so I only hope that they will support their employees. They're probably going to have to they'll understand that, yeah, they're going to pay a bit in legal coverage or fees if he tries to pursue these journalists. And I hope the journalists have the stomach for it.
Mm.
But I think it would make them big stars, honestly. Like
Oh,
the
I do
Pentagon
too.
Papers,
Yep.
I think it could heighten them. But yeah, Pete Hegseth, what a joke. Even Fox wouldn't sign on to it. Seriously,
I
it's
know it
just
made me
funny.
laugh, and you know what? It's funny because you've seen, at least I have specifically, and I want to pivot a little bit to your Marjorie Taylor Greene piece that you put in there. It's a woman scorned. She's taking bullets from. It's almost like it's upside down world sometimes, where they're trying to get reporters to sign oil loyalty oaths, and Marjorie Taylor,
Yeah.
you're like, what the fuck? Fox News is like, yeah, we side with CNN, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. And then, in Bizarro land that sometimes pops up, we're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene literally make a split, literally separate herself, create daylight between. And this is like the mega bulldog. This is the QAnon cheerleader. This is the woman that felt up that stand up poster of Donald Trump, if you remember.
I
I mean,
almost
she liked
forgot
the.
that. I was trying to forget that.
Sorry,
It's in my
I don't mean
trauma
to.
bucket.
I apologize. I got a real kick out of it too because it was 2D. But anyway, so she's now completely broken away from MAGA. And we talked about it a couple times this last week, talked about it with Lev and Zev in our Substack Live the other day. How there are two competing narratives. One, and yours is new, and I want to get to it in just a second. Everybody should go subscribe to Tara Palmieri's Substack right now and read this. But we all thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene was smart enough to kind of be reading the Epstein room, knowing that the Epstein files are probably coming. Obviously, another conversation I want to have with you at a later date. We got more time, but
Yeah.
your suggestion in your piece is that it's much simpler than that.
Yeah, no, I've done some reporting, like, I've called sources familiar with her, and her relationship with the White House and Capitol Hill, and I've been sort of following her for a while on this,
Hmm.
and she had a break with Trump when they didn't support her to run statewide. She wanted to take on, John Ossoff, for Senate or run for governor in Georgia, and they told her in March, "Marjorie, it doesn't look great for you. You can't do this. You can't run." And I think that was another heartbreak for her because she feels like she's been a bulldog. She has been, with him since January 6th. She has supported him through and through. She feels like she made concessions with Mike Johnson with the motion to vacate, not following through with that a number of other times. She feels like she's been playing the game with them, and she just feels like she's been getting burned. And I used an anecdote from when I saw her at Trump's election
Yeah,
primary
you're the
victory
first person
party.
I've ever met that's been to Mar-a-Lago, by the way. So there you go.
Yeah, well,
Found that out.
when you're part of the press corps, you have to go there. It's kind of part of the and they put you in behind a roped area, yada yada yada. But when I'm there, I like to cause some trouble. I can't just
I
sit
love the
still.
line in there where you're like, so I was feeling a little mischievous, and I decided to approach Marge.
I was like, is that just Marjorie Taylor Greene just milling about in basically empty
Oh, weird.
ballroom hours?
Was she by herself?
Yeah, because it was like 6 hours before the party started.
Oh, she was a super keener. Yeah, this is back when
Yeah,
she was full.
yeah. So she wanted a job in the administration. I'm certain
Yeah.
of it. And I figured, just a day earlier, Katie Britt, the senator from Alabama, she's a freshman, was a staffer. She's young, she's cute. She gets to give the rebuttal to the State of the Union. And I could just tell that Marjorie probably felt like that should have been hers. Like you just get that vibe. So I asked her, what do you think of Katie Britt for VP? And she goes, her heritage score is 81. Not conservative enough. The base wouldn't like her. Not conservative enough. Who carries around off top of head someone's heritage score? Sorry, heritage action score.
I don't even know what it is.
And then I started asking her about like DHS, and she's like, I could do DHS. Of course, I'd serve as vice president. This and that. So, and then you see some quotes from like she's asked about later on after Trump won. She said openly, I think that these new people have come along and they don't deserve to get jobs. Why are they being considered? Like Vivek Ramaswamy at the time was being considered for position. And she said, I've been here all along. I've been loyal all along. This is a lot about loyalty too for her. Now, there is one more piece to this. She's breaking with Trump on deportations. She thinks that they are this is a woman who constantly tweeted about wanting to remove illegal immigrants from the country. And she is turned around on this. She thinks they've gone too far on deportations because she works in the construction business. I mean, she bought her parents' constructions company, and she sees the effect it has on the business she owns, which I kind of think is a bit of a conflict of interest as well, by the way. But there's the Epstein files. I do think that's a MAGA base thing, and I think she gets it. The MAGA base wants that, and here's the thing: people are like, she's doing this because her district has changed. Her district has not changed at all. Her district is not a suburb. Okay, it is an exurb. It is very blue collar. She is very blue collar. They're ruby red. She has a lot of bandwidth to take these sort of anti-establishment, anti-corruption bends, and she can do these sorts of things. Like she can. But by the way, every time she disagrees with Trump, she says, "I love President Trump, but." Also, the other reason I know that this has some sort of personal grudge to it is because she complained that not enough women get leadership posts in the GOP, which is true. There's only one woman who leads a committee. But to me, that smells of grievance and gripe and feeling like she has been passed over.
So she's just loading up her grievance bucket, right?
Yeah, she's loading up her grievance bucket. And she's never, from the people that I spoke to that know her well, she's not a calculating person. She acts out of raw emotion. That's how she does not think that far ahead. She doesn't know when to not speak. This is not some sort of
listen, I gotta interject here just for a quick second here, Ms. Palmieri.
Yeah,
is I've listened to Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about Jewish space lasers. I watched her present Hunter Biden's penis in the House. I don't think this is a woman that thinks too far ahead in general, not just about her political career. So to watch her do this now, to watch her publicly break and go against the grain of MAGA when she was MAGA's pit bull, and for you to give some insight into that is fascinating because it sounds like it is part personal, like Trump's cuts, Trump's ideology, what he's doing right now is hurting her personal pocketbook. right?
Yeah.
It's hurting her chances to possibly get reelected. She may or may not know, or I don't know anything about the state of Georgia and her riding or constituency, but it also looks like she is still pissed that she didn't get any oversight leadership position. She didn't get
Yeah.
named the Secretary of fucking War, or she
Yeah.
wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, and it just it blows my mind because it always comes back to the same impetus
Yeah.
of grievance for every single person in MAGA when we're out there screaming, Marjorie Taylor Greene has seen the Lord. She's come around. She's a Democrat. She's asking for the Epstein files. But with your reporting that you do such an incredible job at, again, please subscribe to Tara Palmieri's Substack. Your reporting dictates hey, listen, it's not, she's not like some kind of
Seeing the
political.
light. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's not a political savant. This is like, this is just pure, like, animalistic reaction
sure.
to feeling like these people haven't been paying attention to me. I've done everything right. This is it. This is a reaction. This is purely animalistic, and this is the true MTG.
Mm.
Uh, but I gotta respect her for the Epstein stuff. I really do. She's dealing with a lot of pressure
Yeah, do you
to
think that's
drop that.
authentic? I know we only got a couple of minutes left, and you got to
Yeah.
run. You've got another Substack live after this, but do you think that part of this is authentic? Is her, because I have got a problem with authenticity in MAGA like you wouldn't believe. I got the same thing
Yeah.
with the Maple MAGAs up here. The things they champion when they turn on a dime, as they did with her, making the Epstein files that thing. Her, Nancy
Yeah.
Mace, Lauren Boebert. I mean, these are. I know they're females. I know they're strong women.
Right.
I know they've achieved a lot, and you don't have to agree with me out there if you're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not giving her credit, but I want to know about the authenticity because there's kind of a rumor or narrative out there that she's kind of a Trojan horse in the Epstein rooms, a Trojan horse in trying to get these files released. Or do you think that, hey, listen, it's again not that not that hard. It's not like she's dreaming in Technicolor here. It's not like she's got a great strategy. She really truly does want justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein.
I actually think she does want justice for them. Like, hearing her on the Capitol lawn with them, she
Hmm.
seems sincere about that. I think that's an easy one. No one is if you defy the president on wanting the Epstein files, no voter is going to say, "Oh, that was a bad choice." I mean, 80% of people want the Epstein files, or even higher than that, according to a CBS poll. I don't think that's a losing position. I think it's a losing position to vote against them, and that's why they're not swearing this Democratic congresswoman in, so that she can be the 218th vote to force the petition so that
How
they
about
can
MAGA
vote on
Mike,
this.
right? MAGA Mike's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I don't see her anywhere. I've been trying to get her sworn in for
What? Yeah.
weeks.
She's like, "Here I am." No, no, no. But thi this is not a losing issue for her. I think standing firm is totally consistent with her brand. I think it's a good thing for her. It's a uniparty issue. It's corruption. It's a class story. It's about sticking it to the elites, looking out for the young people, looking out for children. This is a great issue for her. It's a great issue for Boebert. It's a great issue for Nancy Mace and Tom Massey. Now, Nancy Mace also wants to be governor of South Carolina, and she needs Trump's endorsement. And she's the only one I'm like, will she bend? But, she did walk out of that meeting with the survivors, that closed door meeting, and she was sobbing. She was emotional. If she turned, and I think it would be seen as too political and too opportunistic. But I think she's the only one that I think could be perhaps moved otherwise into another position. But if she was the deciding vote, and everyone knew that the endorsement of Trump was on the line for her
Mhm.
governorship, I don't know. I just think that the Epstein, I don't, I think it's going to be really hard for the members to vote against this when it gets to the House floor, Republican members.
Yeah, Swalwell said the same thing, that he put out a tweet a couple of weeks ago where he's like, don't worry, guys, it's going to be over soon. There's going to be a jailbreak from the GOP. They're all going to leave Trump because no one wants to be known as a pedophile protector. You've done some of the most incredible work when it comes to getting underneath it. Your report on Lisa Murkowski was incredible. Do you think that we're going to see the Epstein files? Do you think that 218 happens? And the last question is, do you think this is just the Epstein shutdown? Because I do.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I don't know. I think it's really about the healthcare issue. I don't think it's Epstein shutdown. Epstein is always going to be there. Here's
Mm.
what I think. You can vote on this. You can bring it over to the Senate, which I think they may get the votes between Rand Paul, and I think Lisa will flip. I actually think that my report put pressure on her because now it's exposed that she has a relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell's husband,
Hmm.
who, by the way, no one knew that Ghislaine Maxwell had a husband, right? That she stole at a conference that Lisa Murkowski also spoke at. At least that time she just beamed in by video, but the next year they were all there together.
I had no idea she was married until I read your story. I had
I know
no
she
clue.
stole this guy. He had 3 kids. Crazy, right? Or 2 kids, excuse me. And I think that they'll get enough votes in the Senate. And
You
then,
do?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it'll end up on Trump's desk. And I think he'll veto it or just sign it or put it aside or just never touch it. I don't know is there a certain period of time in which a president has to sign a bill?
I have no idea. I mean,
I should probably find that out.
I don't think he can step around a discharge petition, though. I don't think he
No,
can.
no,
I
no.
think
The discharge petition it only puts it before. It's a way to bypass the
okay,
speaker
all
so
right.
that you can vote on a bill, but it doesn't like affect the president. And so that's one thing. Here's the other thing: the DHS. Just because you compel the DHS to release the files, what I believe will happen is the DHS will do exactly what they've done so far in terms of releasing the files, and what you see on the FBI vault when you look for Epstein files.
Mhm.
Just black lines, black lines, black lines, redactions, redactions, redactions in the name of protecting the victims.
You mean in the name of protecting Donald Trump and his buddies?
Question
Is it?
mark. I think you can all answer that one because so many of the victims have said, please, we don't need protection. We're women now. We're adult women. Like, let this out there. Let this be out there. Let our suffering be worth something.
Mm.
So yes, that is,
That's your
my
prognostication.
prognostication is that the DOJ is not very good at it's not really good at
Anything?
policing itself. I would use the word
No.
policing.
No,
Yes.
especially right now with Mr. Patel and Miss Bondi. I mean, I can't open up my Twitter feed and see a Pam Bondi comment and not just shake my head and wonder how they were able to find a parking lot lawyer who sounds like a Valley girl to be the attorney general. Kash Patel is just this absolute embarrassment. The perjury he committed on in that oversight hearing, both in the House and in the Senate, was and I'm an outsider, like you're an outsider, but you're an insider because you talk to these people, you've interviewed victims of Jeffrey Epstein. You understand what's going on here, you know the truth. So I can't imagine, as a pundit, not you're an investigative reporter, like the real deal, that has been involved with and understands these people and knows these people. I cannot imagine the frustration and how you continue to do what you do, where you cover the Epstein files, as intensely, as personally, for the victims, to try to get justice for these women who were abused for decades. I mean, we're talking about thousands of women who were young girls that were part of this routine, and so thank you for the work that you do, and I want to
Yeah,
thank you for
it's not
joining me
about
today. Really
me.
appreciate it. I
It's
know it's not. I knew you'd
no, it's
say
about
that.
that. No, but truly, they actually haven't really. They have inspired me. They've made me a better journalist. They've helped me find my voice. Sometimes when you just see such plain injustice, it's hard not to feel like you have purpose. Like we, as a journalist, there are times in everybody's career. I mean, what drove me to be a journalist was I always wanted to be a muckraker. I liked the idea of being an investigative reporter that caused change. And when I worked at the New York Post, which I know is a conservative paper, but it's a populist paper at heart, whenever I would report on anything in the city and it would change something, whatever it would be, could be something about the subway station. It could be something about this or that. We get a little dinkus that said post gets action. And it made me feel like what we were doing was causing positive change, right?
Mm.
And about the muckrakers during the turn of the 19th century and their impact on the meatpacking industry, the mental asylums, Nellie Bly going underground to the jungle, and it really inspired me. And it's very rare that you find a story with so much injustice and so much out there that inspires you in that way and reminds you of who you were when you first realized that you wanted to do this. Like when I was, 16 or 15 years old in history class, being like, wow, you could do that for a living? You could be a journalist? You could, because I didn't grow up around those types. I didn't grow up around a lot of professionals, honestly. Like I grew up in a blue collar neighborhood, and I'm the first person in my family to go to college. So that was too glamorous to be a journalist. But when I read that like you could use the power of the pen to enact change, to hold truth to power, I was like, this is incredible. And only it doesn't happen all the time that you have these stories that make you feel like you have purpose again. And this one does. And I hope that we do. I don't believe that the DHS is going to give us the answers. I'm sorry, the DOJ. I don't believe the DOJ is
You
going
think
to give
it's
us the
going to come
answers.
from somewhere else? Yeah.
It's going to come from leaks. It's going to come from
Yeah.
journalists, and it's
Yeah.
going to come from the survivors. And that is how we're going to know how this all ends. The
Yeah.
DOJ is not going to hand us the Epstein files. And if they do, it will be long after everything is in them, that everything that is in them is out in the public. And then it will just be just an affirmation of what we already know. I hope that there are whistleblowers inside of there who have seen these files, FBI agents that come forward. I know what so many of these victims have filed in their own depositions, and it's horrific.
Mhm.
And I'd love for their unredacted files to be something that everyone can read.
Tara, it was my pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for taking some time. You came highly recommended by our mutual friend Steve Schmidt. The warning, you did not disappoint, and I would encourage everybody. There are very few kind of people that I follow. There are very few people that I follow because I like to have a mind that's fresh, and the people that I do follow are people I can trust. Tara Palmieri is one of those people. In a world full of information as opposed to affirmation, people don't follow brands anymore. They follow people. So if you're one of my followers, one of my subscribers, and you're looking for the best source when it comes to what's underneath the Epstein files, prognostications, and any information in context, it's Tara Palmieri, the red letter. On Substack as well, Tara Palmieri on Substack. And if you're looking for information on Marjorie Taylor Greene, this young
Check out
lady
my
is
latest.
yeah, it is a spectacular write up, and I would encourage everybody to go and subscribe. Paid subscribers, as always, they keep us in the game and they keep us doing this job, and they also keep us in connection with you. Can't thank everybody enough for joining us today. You can take my shit, you just can't take my time. So I know how important everybody's time is. No Larry Davidism. But Tara Palmieri, thanks for doing this. Will you come back again? Can we do this again and talk about some
I
other
would love
stuff?
to do it regularly, Dean. I'm a huge fan of your work. I love the way you synthesize things. And I know we didn't get to talk about those turds in those
I love it.
Republican turds that were saying all those racist, nasty, sexist, anti-Semitic,
The young
racist.
Republican Nazis. By the way, the
Yeah.
body shaming on behalf of that crew.
You were so brutal. It was epic. That was probably the best write-up I've read about what happened. By the way, everyone needs to go and read Dean's latest piece on those young Republican turds, as I call them. But he said he had a line in there which I think was absolutely brilliant, and I pulled it because I just had to actually write it down for myself for the future.
All right.
It's easier to bind a group together with shared transgression than with shared policy. And that was a really great reminder of just how these groups filled with hateful people are formed. They're all on a shared group chat, sharing embarrassing things that they acknowledged could ruin their careers. And it was this shared hatred, and that is something we need to fight against. And we need to make people feel ashamed to be bound by that.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And watching JD Vance kind of strut around going, everybody's been part of those chat groups. I put my hand up and I'm like, not this guy. Not this guy. I've never been part of I have never, ever, ever typed the N-word. Nonetheless, 251
I've
fucking
never
times.
said that word, actually.
No, me neither.
It's never come out of my mouth. So I don't even think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's all disgusting.
Well, we'll have you back and we'll talk about it another time because that whole culture needs to be uprooted and held accountable. And for people like you, I've got Muckraker in my Twitter profile, by the way. I just want you to know that.
Oh,
Also in
I love
my
that.
Substack profile. So we'll muckrake again another time very,
This is
very soon if you
good.
don't mind. Thanks,
I love
Tara.
that.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I'll join the DOG. Let you know how that goes.
Hey, I'll sign a loyalty pledge. I'll do it right now.
All right.
Thanks, Tara. You have a great day. Okay, bye-bye. Tara Palmieri, ladies and gentlemen. The Red Letter is where you can find her. Redletter.com, I believe. Let me just get that for you. What a brilliant person. Just a brilliant person, brilliant mind, absolutely unbelievable writer. She reduces everything to its essence, offers context like you don't believe. And she is maybe the most hardened activist for the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein files, without question. So if you're one of those people, if you're one of them people that likes to know from the source, real, authentically checked out, verified information on some of the most important topics when it comes to protecting women, when it comes to protecting democracy, when it comes to getting underneath some of the things that we're seeing that are really bizarre, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's turning point. Substack.com/at Tara Palmieri is where you can find her. Go and subscribe. She's an absolute warlord of information, but she is right there. She's got morals, character. Imagine that, huh? Imagine people with character in media. She's one of the good ones. Add her to your list of people that you trust. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to Tara for joining us. I'll see you at 3 o'clock on the 5 Stack with my friend Zev Shalev. Today, Danish intelligence officer Mr. Jacob Karsbo is going to join us. We stiffed him yesterday. We had a lot to talk about what's going on in Crimea, what's going on in Ukraine, huge defense bill that just passed in Denmark, what it means to Donald Trump, what it means here in Canada. So we're going to get to Jacob Karsbo a little later on. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, we've got 50% off annual subscriptions the rest of the month. That price will never go up. You get complete access to all of our chats, all of our exclusive content, et cetera, et cetera. So have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. Sign up, subscribe, share. Share, share, share. Sharing is caring. Democracy dies in the dark. It's not a cliche. It's the truth. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again. See you at 3 o'clock, everybody. Bye-bye.